Welcome to one more SEO Talk webinar, and we are back. So I'm Parth Suba. Welcome to another Power Packed SEO Talk session, and we are here with an interesting topic that's got serious velocity in 2025. To be honest, custom GPTs for SEOs. Automate smarter or rank faster. Like you have to get this done. So if you are someone who is ever looking to scale content but not compromise on quality, this webinar is for you. And we have our special guest who we have partnered with, and Krinal Bhai is here again. So, welcome Krinal Bhai to SEO Talk.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. And happy Friday, everyone.
Yep. And I think so most of you know him, but for someone I just wanted to give you a quick intro. So he's accelerating a lot of non-brand growth at Bluehost month over month, and he's the SEO director at New Fall Digital, which is the parent company of a lot of known brands that we all have been using: Bluehost, Yoast, and many more. So here we are, and so we are here to welcome our guest. Welcome, Krinal Bhai. Let's get started. But before we get started, you grab a cup of coffee or chai, drop a hello in the comment, and where have you joined in from? So, yep, we are ready to get started.
Let's do this.
Lovely. So, we have set the stage, and without further ado, we'll get started with the introduction of this session. And so, the very first question to you, Krinal Bhai, is we have seen SEO evolve over the years. Why do you believe SEOs today need to start thinking like AI workflow architects?
Yeah, that's a loaded question to start with, but I'll try to break it down. So imagine where we are today, where AI is kind of pushing the frontier on pretty much every imaginable industry that you can think about. And so what that means is and so that's happening on one end, like the on the technology front, but on the user experience, user interface and user consumption front, you can see the rise of chat gpt as a platform, Google trying to push AI overviews and AI mode on the other end. And so there is AI coming at us in all shapes and forms and directions, right? So, like, it is no news today if your target audience, your next customer, might have heard about your brand from one of the AI they use, LLM that they use, right? So that's just knowing that the world around us is changing, evolving, right? The second part is I was talking to a director of health the other day, and he was like, "How are you leveraging AI?" I'm like, "I'm using AI to beat AI." It was funny. I would just make that as a joke, but really, what I mean is, if you're not leveraging AI to its fullest potential today, like you're already missing out because the competitors are already doing that. And what I mean by that, when it comes down to SEOs, to answer your question more directly, is there are lots of processes, logic, and flows that we've been using over the years that I think can be automated. I don't think I have actually automated, and I know others have as well. And so, just trying to leverage technology to move faster. Instead of spending 8 hours doing a content brief, you can whip up a content brief in under 5 minutes. Why not do that, right? And so it's kind of fail fast, rinse, repeat, learn from their kind of a culture to start with, but then you improvise because it's very easy to refine as you roll. So that's why I think SEOs need to start thinking about this. Well, actually, start testing this.
That's lovely. I think so. Uh, the amount of experience you have in your kitty and the SEO wisdom you have shared. SEOs need to step up, level up, roll their sleeves up, and get started. Like it's never late to get started, and totally agreed. And the conversation, I think, so we had backstage with you, the number of experiments that you have been running, and the processes and SOPs you are setting up at your current organization is quite extensive, and we are more than excited to pick your brain along the way.
Love it. And I see there are folks joining in as well. So hi to the whole post media team that is joining in from Toronto.
Oh, lovely. Yep, I can see a couple of comments from Omkar, and a bunch of different folks have joined from. So please do comment below the YouTube video. Where are you joining from? And we are excited to like do this live. And at the same time, if you have any questions, please shoot them in the comment. We have a 15 minutes session at the end of this particular webinar where we'll take up those questions from the comment, and we'll try to pick as many as possible, or else like we'll reply to those comments directly on YouTube. So please drop those questions, and we would be more than happy to take it up. Awesome. We will move to the next one. So we have been observing most of the SEO folks out there and the marketers overall. They still use Chat GPT as a one-off tool. Now, how does the role of a custom GPT bot fundamentally change the SEO workflow? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, great question. So for most people, when you talk to them, you're like, "Have you tried using AI?" They're like, "Yeah, I know AI. I've been using AI." And I'm talking about marketers, professionals in companies and whatnot. And for the most part, they're just using ChatGPT, which is not even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the full potential of AI, right? And so, like one of the very simple reasons why anyone and everyone should try custom GPTs, and this is not just restricted to SEOs. Like every individual that touches a computer screen at this point should try using custom GPT. The why is because when you use Chat GPT, the response that you get is generic based on that training corpus. You can personalize it to a certain degree by doing some advanced prompt engineering. But unless you start using custom GPTs, you're not able to do things at scale while maintaining the quality of the output. And so the custom GPT, then we'll jump into the demos and I'll show what I mean when we go there. But that's really the key is you want to scale without compromising quality. There is no way you can do that using a simple chat GPT interface. Like you have to have your custom GPTs. Uh, and it just kind of think of it this way, like if you wanted to 10x the quality of your output, custom GPT is the way to go.
Oh, lovely. Yep, we are looking forward to that demo. But folks who are listening to us, anyone here tried building a custom GPT? Type yes or no in the comments, so we would get more idea, and accordingly we'll proceed with the session going forward. Okay, moving forward to the next one. What are some major limitations you faced when using the pure vanilla Chat GPT for SEO tasks without any custom instructions?
Yeah, great question. So let's say a typical SEO process has, like, you start with keyword research and you kind of do your keyword mapping, and then you start doing content briefs, and then, or if you're not doing this on the technical side, you want to do an audit. So let's run the keyword research scenario first. If you're doing keyword research, people might be trying, hey, what are the best keywords for me as a gold jeweler here in Toronto that I should target as a local business. And as much as ChatGPT is smart, it's just going to hallucinate because there is no context that you're giving it, and it does not have access to third-party data or actual data sets, like HFs or SEMrush or data for SEO, what have you. So one is, how reliable is the output that you get from these tools? depending on the prompts that you're putting in. And if you don't really know the backend mechanics of how these LLMs work, then it's really hard for you to tell if the GPT is hallucinating or if it's actually giving you reliable information. So that's one. The other piece is you try doing anything at scale, right? Let's say you have 1,000 URLs and you're like, here's the website, do the technical SEO audit. It's not going to crawl 1,000 URLs. That's just not how it works, right? And so there are several limitations, but it'll make it up. Like it'll make things up. It'll say you should do information retrieval, you should do this schema markup, that schema markup, that one is broken. It'll make things up and it'll look so convincing that you'll almost start believing it if you're not I worry about people who are not SME experts, like subject matter experts, trying to do something, not understanding fully how the model works, and then just running with the output and making decisions off of that. So I worry about them the most. And that's why I think, those are kind of the limitations that there are other limitations as well, but with regards to the topic that we're talking about today, those are the major limitations.
Wow, that's quite insightful, and I think so. It's important to set those guardrails using custom GPTs when we are expecting a particular answer which is aligned with our brand and the overall brand guidelines, I would say.
Absolutely. Like as an example, if I wanted to write a blog post for Bluehost or wanted to do a video for Bluehost where I'm talking about how to set up a WordPress website, WordPress being this focus area for Bluehost, I can throw that into a GPT and say, can you create a content brief? And it will create a content brief, except the content brief is not going to talk about Bluehost in a way that I want to talk about Bluehost. There are some brand guidelines, there is some positioning, there is some marketing messaging that we want to talk about Bluehost in a certain way, about certain features, about certain price points, why it makes sense to do WordPress with Bluehost as an example. Those product integration and all of that is not going to happen unless you start doing the custom GPT route or you do really advanced prompt engineering. Either of which the normal day-to-day user is not much aware of, and that's why I think that those are the limitations.
Fantastic. That's a real use case you shared that you've been implementing at Bluehost. Um, Lovely. I would want to ask a question to the audience. Like, what's your biggest challenge with content production right now? Do share your challenges in the comments, and we would pick it up during the Q&A session. And we'll proceed with the next question. Think so. If you can share some examples of repetitive SEO workflows where custom GPTs have significantly improved consistency and speed and the overall quality of the output.
Yeah. So I have many examples, but for today's session, let's talk about a few that we've been using at scale. The reason why I want to talk about those is because, and just for context, I have 25 people on my team. So we when I say scale, we actually do this at scale because everyone's using these five every single day over the last, I would say, 4 months at least. And so there is sizable feedback that I'm able to collect from the entire team that is using this, and the types of output that we get, so on and so forth. So the first one is think about you generating visual assets, right? So you have this SEOTalk virtual background here. It's a visual asset that is on brand for SEOTalk webinars, and I think you may have created this using some sort of a template that if tomorrow you wanted to change, some sort of text there, you can do that, so on and so forth. Similarly, for Bluehost, there are brand guidelines that we have for our visual assets. And we do have an amazing creative team that does help us with all sorts of visual assets. But the scale at which we do content production, or the scale at which we want to do content production, the creative team can only help with so much in terms of the number of creatives that they can do per day, because there are resourcing limitations. So one way to solve that problem in the interim, while we add more resources, I thought was to use Custom GPT. And so what I created was it's called a Bluehost visual uh, asset generator. So what it does is, if you go to bluehost.com/blog, which is where all the blog content is hosted, uh, if you look at any content in the last, I would say 3 months, any image that you see inline, not the featured image, but inline images, whether these are infographics or how to infographics, comparison tables, stuff like that, all of that is generated using this visual asset generator, which is a custom GPT bot that I've created. And so we made this part of our workflow, where when the writers are actually, content writers are actually writing the content, they have a really good idea based on the content brief what assets make sense, right? And at that a point in time, when they are kind of in that creative zone, in the flow, we don't want them to go to chase creative team and say, hey, like, can you help us with these creatives? And by all means, even if they do, they're unlikely to get the creative back by the time it's time for them to publish the post, right? And so there will
That's
be a
true.
week's gap, because we do ballpark 150 pieces of content a month, right? So we are talking about, even if I wanted to add two creatives per post, we are talking about 300 creatives a month plus 150 featured images. So we're talking about a lot of creative assets. By the way, this was driven by the insight that we saw, where we were getting good traffic from image search, and some of that traffic converting really well, helping the brand and whatnot, right? And so we wanted to accelerate that. So with the creative team, we took a approach where we said, can you help us create templates? And using Canva, the team can then do this. But then there are so many different types of creatives, it's not feasible to create so many templates. And so using this custom GPT bot, it can create on brand visuals. uh, and I can show examples on the blog, or I can show examples using the bot, but that's one. The other one that I created was, so we have this workflow where we have content, SEO manager, or content marketing manager, or writers. It's kind of a structured team. And so we have an entire workflow how we go about publishing content on the blog and or updating existing content. So I was trying to interpret the workflow to say, what parts of these workflow can I accelerate using AI, right? And one of the portion, as we are all familiar with, takes a lot of the time, is actually creating content briefs. And I'm not just
Mm,
talking about a generic content brief. I'm talking about a content brief that is going to deliver on the results. I'm talking about a content brief that is going to entice the user to click, convert, become part of your funnel, so on and so forth. And so creating those high impact content briefs does take time, because it's a lot of research that goes into that. And I'm blessed with an amazing team, and they do amazing work when it comes to all of this research. So I had the team kind of share their research, right? So all the content marketing managers shared how they do their own research, and I synthesize all of that, and I turn that into a custom GPT bot, which creates, like, under a minute, will create the entire content brief, which is not 100% there, but it's 80% as good as what a human would create. Uh, and so that's another example of accelerating that. There is still a human in the loop. So everything that we do is human in the loop AI. It's not like fully automated. Yet, I don't say never, because how fast AI is moving. Maybe there is a time in near future when we'll be able to fully automate everything. We can, but I just don't see it there yet. And so it is a human in the loop approach.
wow, that was lovely. Like 10x thinking applied with 2x efficiency, I would say. Fantastic. And I just love the fact that the human in the loop editors are now have got that control of generating those creatives, and there's no kind of blocker in getting in touch with the creative team and waiting for that delay. So that's lovely, and appreciate it. Like thanks for sharing that cheat code with all the SEOs who are listening here.
Yeah, and I also wanted to take a step back and share the mindset that I want people to start thinking about, use when thinking about leveraging AI, and is less about okay, what SEO process can I use AI with? It's more about what problems do I face in my day to day as a SEO, whether you are working at an agency or in-house or a freelancer, what have you, that you can unblock with AI. So
Hmm.
example being in our case, and generally the life of an SEO is more like a consultant. You make recommendations, but then there are people who actually implement your recommendations, whether it is the content team or the engineering team, or the UI UX team or the CRO team. So the boots on the ground people are different. SEOs kind of make recommendations and say, okay, let's go do this, and this makes the most sense for the business. So you are technically limited as much as you can grow individually. You are technically limited by the force multipliers that you have on all these different teams. And I don't even want to go into navigating, building those relationships, and getting buy-in and all that for now. But you are limited by the human resourcing that you have. So where can you leverage AI in trying
Hmm.
to unblock, whatever it is that you are being blocked with? That's a mindset I want people to take away, because I
Hmm.
still believe that I've only scratched 5% of the surface of AI in terms of utilizing its full potential. There is just so much more that you can accomplish with AI that you'd be stunned, but you would not know until you try.
You're being modest, like that's so humble of you, but yeah, we are sure that we are going to get a lot of insights as we continue. And for the audience here, we are kind of 2 minutes away of getting started with the demo. So stay tuned, don't blink, and just follow along. So my next question to you, Krinal Bhai, is uh, let's first probably start with how does your content brief generator GPT work? Because you just explained it, and we are more than excited to have a look at it. And what
Why
what
don't
kind of
I
inputs?
go ahead, finish.
Yeah. So the follow-up question there is, what kind of inputs, outputs does it handle?
Yeah, so before I share my screen, actually, a really good way you frame this question, because I want people to be aware of the limitations that exist today. Okay. And so I'll talk about the backend and everything when I share the screen. But uh, when we do content briefs, and everyone's way of doing content brief is different and unique, my way of doing content brief is also utilizing what ranks today out there in the search, right? So for whatever keyword you're trying to get your website ranked, what are those top 3 to 5 competitors that rank today? What can you learn from them? And then you can kind of get inspiration and try and deliver better content, or create more relevant content from a relevance engineering lens, right? And so one of the limitations is you can ask chat gpt to say, hey, here is my primary keyword, secondary keyword, and find the top 5 competitors and create a content brief. It will do that, but I am not 100% confident that it will pick the exact 5 competitors that I want it to pick. Sometimes it will hallucinate. Also, there is a market nuance here, right? You want to focus on, let's say, US competitors. I don't know what competitors, what market it is picking up for. So personally, me, I prefer sharing the keywords and the competitors as part of my input, and then everything else can be managed. Okay, so with that, I'll share my screen. And
Lovely. Thanks for sharing that benchmark stage. And yeah,
of course, all right. So, right. So here is a very simple example, just for the sake of this webinar, where my prompt is very simple. It's create a content brief for this primary keyword, the keyword being how to set up a WordPress website. And here are the top 3 competitors that rank, that are relevant for someone like a Bluehost. Okay. And here is the output that it gave me in like under a minute. So you have your metadata here. Now you'll see something interesting here, which is not usually part of many content briefs. What we've done is, so the way this GPT is built, it has a knowledge. Every custom GPT has a knowledge hub. So in the
mhm.
knowledge hub for this custom GPT, we've uploaded our user intent identification. because based on where the user, based on the intent of the user, we want to structure the content differently. Okay, so
Got
in
it.
here, the user intent is pre-awareness, and there is training data that I've uploaded in the backend that automatically identifies what the intent is. So I'm not going off the intent that HRS and SEMrush uses, because that is generic. For
Yep.
Bluehost, for the industry that we are in, for the products that we sell, what is the intent, right? Then there is a persona. So I've uploaded our brand guidelines, and I've uploaded our ICPs, our audience, who the personas that we target, and how do we talk to each persona? Because this is where your content starts. You start differentiating your content. Everyone can create AI generated content, but this is where I think you can really make it unique, right? So we talk to an entrepreneur or a small business owners very differently, knowing that their pain points are very different than a pain point of a technologist or a freelancer, as an example, right?
Yep.
Then there is a primary keyword. These are the secondary keywords that I believe it kind of picked up on its own, because I didn't give it the secondary keywords. This is all structure that we use, part of our content brief. So it's just there for people, for the SEO and the content marketing managers to kind of placeholders, surfer link, planner task link. So the second section here is the target audience. So who this post is for. And again, think of this content brief that it is kind of built in a way that we want the writers to have all of this information. So how can you give the best input to the writer so that the content that they are going to create comes across as something that you would want to publish, right? So who is this post for? So again, it's for aspiring entrepreneurs, creators, small business owners launching their first website or blog. What do they know already? What pain points are they facing? What is their experience level? Because you talk differently to a beginner versus an intermediate versus an expert WordPress developer, right?
Yep.
So there is, these are all the nuances that you can't really capture if you just go out doing, if you run this exact same prompt in your
Hmm.
GPT, and you will see a very different output. People in the on the live stream or in the comment section can try this, and they'll see a very different output than what is on my screen. So I've actually created 11 different modules in the backend, and I've asked it to give me output for these 11 different modules. I want it to think like I would think, like how I would create content brief. I want it to think exactly in that structure and deliver the output in that structure. There's a
This
piece
is
of,
Yeah,
yes,
I just want to add, like, this is a very well structured. This is ready to use for your teams, content teams. At the same time, you have set all the guardrails and the output, the checklist, and every single thing is like precisely structured. So I can relate to the point you mentioned like probably 10 minutes ago,
yeah.
that how do we solve our day-to-day problems? And I think so, yeah, you've bridged all the gaps between your teams.
Thank you. We try. This one I added because we want the writers to feel that they are contributing something that is adding meaning to the internet, right? Like it's not just fluff content that's there for SEO reasons. Like there is no such thing like SEO content. There's no such thing as SEO keyword. Like it's user that is looking for a solution, and this you're trying to share the solution in a certain format, right? So this kind of builds on that to say this blog post is an essential educational entry point for anyone building their first online presence. It should eliminate friction, boost confidence, explain clearly how easy it is to launch a WordPress site, especially with Bluehost. You see what it did here? If you try this in your chat GPT, it will not tell you anything about Bluehost. This has been custom built in a way that we want to talk about everything from a Bluehost lens. But how does it know what products we have? How does it know what services we have? How does it know what is our strength? What is our brand USP? So on and so forth. It should showcase Bluehost's seamless WordPress onboarding. So it knows about the product now.
Hmm.
Secure automatic install, again, knows about the product. Intuitive design tools and 24 by 7 WordPress expert support. So it knows the breadth of our products and services to down to a T. And that's coming from this brand positioning messaging doc that I have uploaded in the Knowledge Hub.
Lovely, lovely. This
Uh,
is super detailed.
Then there is a classic content structure and guidance that typically all content briefs, regardless what tools you use, will have. What it doesn't have though is how do you optimize for search and LLM at the same time, right? And so that is an angle. And again, for context, this was built 4 months ago. I'm about to kind of evolve this and improve this, but this is what we have today, right? So it covers why choose WordPress as an example, what to cover, what should be the formatting, and what should be a queue for LLMs. So you can answer directly for SG. WordPress is a free open source CMS. Da, 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 da. This will help it if this chunk gets mentioned in AI overview or in a chat GPT kind of an environment. This paragraph is likely to get picked up as a passage indexing. That is the structure of this paragraph and how this paragraph should be structured, right? So leaving cues for LLMs at each section level, not at the brief level, not at a topic level, for each section. Uh,
Interesting.
and this comes from the relevance engineering framework that I shared in the first two webinars. So I've kind of turned that framework into education for the bot. And so it's going to look at it, everything from a relevance engineering lens, and then kind of put instructions in there to optimize for LLMs. So this is an example of how you can do things at scale. These are all other sections: what to cover, what format to use, LLM queues, what, and it will drop for visuals. Consider annotated screenshot or infographic. So what sections should I add visuals is not something that the writer is struggling with. They have ideas here that they can lean on. You see what they did here: internal CTL link to Bluehost AI Builder or Marketplace,
Hmm.
because we are talking about themes, plugins, pages. So it will strategically figure out at what point do you want to take the user down in the funnel. Again, because it has been loaded with the product knowledge of how we want to do internal linking. So there is all these amazing things that it'll do. It has a FAQ section. The internal link recommendations, I don't rely on that because it's that module I'm still developing. So it will come up with relevant ones, but sometimes it'll just hallucinate. So I ask the team not to focus on this so much, kind of do this on your own for now till we figure out a better way of doing this, because I want to do semantic internal links and not just lexical ones, right? And there
Yep.
is a specific section here that talks about product or feature integration. So this is where it gets really interesting. This is where I think the writers were struggling the most, is because every writer thinks differently. And so how do we standardize, how do we talk about our products at this scale of doing like hundreds of pieces of content every single month with a team of 25 people? It's not one person doing it, right? So a step-by-step section to highlight automatic WordPress install, customization, introduce Wonder blocks. In launch or mistake sections, mention WP Live, Bluehost security backups, and CTA placement. Recommend get started with Bluehost after step-by-step. For the most part, we know that tofu or informational traffic is dying, right? And so how do you kind of offset that, or try to offset that by trying to increase conversion rate? That's trying to increase engagement. That's how I kind of think about trying to solve for the declining traffic. By the way, our traffic is not declining, it's actually increasing. But this is a section that actually does that. So I want the content to work as hard as it can, so not just answer the user's question, promote Bluehost as a brand, build the brand awareness for Bluehost, create the credibility for Bluehost, and talk about it in a way which sounds authentic and it actually helps the user. So not sound salesy like a salesman, right? Then there is the concept of information gain. So I wanted to standardize this because I had this and people were doing it, but I wanted to standardize this. So I added that as a module to say, what is the unique angle or value add that I can do? Again, the writers will obviously do the research and kind of come up with their own, but uh, how do I add information gain to a piece of content programmatically? This is how I do it at a content brief level. And then for each of the competitors, remember I shared, it will identify the strengths, identify their gaps, and a visual idea that they are using, right? And so for each competitors, what are the strengths and the weaknesses that I can lean on to kind of improve my content? And then there is a CTA section, and then there are some word count range. I don't rely on this; it'll hallucinate obviously, because It really depends on our strength in the topic and how much we need as a Bluehost brand versus a brand that does not write about WordPress, as an example. And then there's a whole section about LLM optimization, right? So questions to clearly answer, skimmable formats to be used, and schema opportunities that we have. So this, it literally takes, like, I can do this all over again here, but it'll literally take less than a minute to come up. And then the content marketing manager will take over and kind of do their own manual research and the whole human in the loop. But it kind of helped us bring down the time to create content briefs down from, I think, a few hours to, say, under 30 minutes. And depending on the topic, sometimes it's more complex, it could take an hour. But yeah, it's a huge, huge, huge reduction. The reduction is not the only thing that is important. How do you, when you do things at scale, like, how do you create consistency as a brand? Because as a brand, users don't differentiate that, Sanjana has written this content and Meg's written this other content. For them, it's Bluehost, right? So all the content should read, feel the same. So how do you do that at scale? This actually helps you do that at scale. Happy to take any questions.
Oh, this was fantastic. Like the whole custom GPT that you have set up, you given instructions to this particular bot, set all the guardrails, shared your Bluehost guidelines, and thanks for sharing this proven content brief custom GPT. Like this is super interesting. Like you are kind of playing on top of this particular LLM game, generating briefs, and at the same time, you've been using it for 4 months. So already kind of matching and ahead of the cow. So that's quite inspiring for all the SEOs here, including me, to go out there and build custom GPTs and create more consistent content. Lovely.
I can also share, because I think there are some questions in the about the backend of how does it actually do all of this magic, right? And so I can go ahead and kind of quickly share how it works in the backend.
Sure.
Okay, let me share my screen again.
Yep. Now we'll get to see the backend magic. We
This is
all are
the
curious, like how does all this happen?
This is the heart. So, I mean, if you've never built a GPT bot before, you really go to chatgpt.com/GPTs. We have a paid account, so I use that. But there are other tools out there that you can also use. I just prefer using this because I started here and I kind of liked it here. You name it whatever you want to name it, you describe it so people understand. It'll kind of show up here, and then the instructions is the heart of the whole thing. And so that's where you kind of insert your prompt. And so this is the prompt that I have. You want to lead with roles. You want to define the role of the GPT, right? So you're a senior SEO content strategist. You name it whatever you want to name it, but give it a role. Then give it context. So after the role, you want to give it context. See, I do not want you to write the blog post, only generate a structured content brief using this exact format. And so here is the exact format that you saw in the output. So it will follow this format to the T as much as you can. It can hallucinate at the times. Always know there are limitations here. So everything is kind of in here. Journey state classification. This is where it kind of reads the intent. So if anything has why, what is, do I need, is pre-awareness, so on and so forth. This you can define based on what the queries are in your industry and what you think are your intent. There is a persona logic. So this is again personalized for Bluehost. Yours could be different, and so whatever personas you have, and then whatever brand guidelines you have. So this is what we have for Bluehost. So it should be authoritative. It should sound authoritative, clever, and supportive. So you speak like a trusted advisor. This is everything that I have under instructions, which is actually creating that output. And then the important part here is to upload all your guidelines, right? So this is the brand guidelines. There are editorial guidelines that we've created that the content team was already using, prior to us creating the bots. Like I said, I collected all the things that the content marketing managers were doing and kind of created a doc out of that and uploaded that. And then there is a whole product marketing. So the brand positioning messaging has been uploaded here. There's a user journey documentation that has been uploaded here. So this is what it will reference every time it runs. Uh,
Hmm.
that's how kind of I was happy to have. I hope that answers some of the
Fantastic,
questions
fantastic.
from.
Yeah. So list of instructions with all clear details, and I just noticed from start to end, like there were a couple of things that you mentioned that you don't need to write a blog post, you don't need to do this. So you said those instructions very clear that you don't need to do this and give me these outputs, but
Yeah.
rather specific. So it's very, very important to kind of differentiate between what you need and what you don't want. Um, cool. I think so. We have a question if you want to pick it up right now, or probably we can.
Let's do it.
Yep. So we have a question from Sanjay, and his question is, how does custom GPT work when we have more than 10 people in the team?
Yes. So, like I said, we have 25, and it still works. It can work with. I There is not per people limitation on how many people can use, but yes, there are some nuances. Like I said, everything has a nuance with AI, and so for you to understand how it works, the nature of the LLM that you are using, it's a generative AI, right? And so generative meaning it will generate. So it is predicting the next word, it's predicting the next token, so on and so forth. And so if 10 people are using it, you will likely get slightly different outputs. But that is where the structure comes into play, right? So that is the guardrails that we built. The structure, I want you to follow this exact structure. These are the things I want you to avoid. So my recommendation to the audience would be, when you create a GPT bot, don't think of it as a software. Think of it as a iterative development, model that is going to be fine tuned over time. So you create something, you start using it, but you start using it and use it over and over and over again. You collect all the feedback and then you refine it, because refinement is very quick. Like it does not take you 2 weeks sprint to make a change in this little software. I like to call it software, but it's a GPT bot works like a software.
Got it. And on a particular ChatGPT account where you have set up this custom, so this custom GPT can be used on every individual account. Like just to clarify it a little more for Sanjay. Yeah.
Yes. So the way to do that is, once you create the GPT, so I can actually share my screen and show here the way to do it. Let's see. Right. So once you create this, there's a share button here. You click on the share button, and then you can share this at a team level. So I said anyone at Newfold with this link can chat, but these are your options, right? So it's invite only. You can only invite certain people. You can invite anyone with the link, or you can make it public. You can publish it to the GPT store, and everyone will be able to use it. Or you can just limit it to people on your team. You can, so all of these options are, you can control those permissions.
Oh, perfect. Thanks so much for showing it. Awesome. We have one more question we have a question from Malar Barai. So his question is, have you given an output as a separate template document or have embedded them as guidelines on the prompt?
Yeah, great question. So I sort of answered that when I was showing the instructions. That is the template that I've given. So the instructions is actually a prompt. Okay. And if anyone is thinking, well, that sounds too complicated, you don't always, and this is a content brief, I'm talking about custom GPTs in general, you don't always have to know the prompt. You can actually use AI to create the prompt as well, right? So like I said, have a AI first mindset. That is what I one thing I want people to take away from this presentation is, you want to have the AI first mindset. Every time you have a problem, I want you to think about trying to solve that with AI. And you
Yep,
will see the amazing capabilities it has today.
got it. Yep. Thank you for answering that. Um, I don't think so. We have any questions from the chat anymore, but I will proceed with the next question that I have. Um, so, can you tell us a little bit about the SEO review and the QA bot?
Yeah.
The custom, yeah,
Yes. So let's first talk about the SEO review bot. One of the steps in the workflow that I'm talking about, that I was trying to solve for and trying to accelerate, increase efficiency without increasing headcount, was this step where we still have one SEO manager who's kind of reviewing the work of 20 plus people that are writing the content. So he was really becoming the bottleneck because there is only so much that he can review in a day. And so I was trying to help him, like, how do I help you? And so I said, okay, give me your review process, document your review process in as much granularity as you can. Uh, and this happened actually at an interesting time where I had to go on parental leave for a little bit earlier this year. And so this was an opportunity because I was the one, actually, before I hired the SEO manager on my team, I was the one doing the SEO reviews. And so I was becoming the bottleneck because I was also trying to manage all the meetings with the other stakeholders, and then the team was kind of waiting for me to, Krinal, like, we need you to review because we have to publish, we have to hit this timeline. Some like I don't like me becoming the blocker and getting in the team's way. And so I put all my thoughts as well as to, like, how do I do my reviews, and I structured that, and using AI I created a prompt and turned that into a custom GPT. And then I said, hey, while I am away, here's a custom GPT bot that you can use that will kind of sort of do a review like Krinal would do. So it's kind of wiring it to think like me, and in a more structured, logical way. Is that was the initial idea, and then obviously we refined it over time based on, because the once the SEO manager was in, he had a different way of doing it. I'm so like, I'll help you refine this. So that's the context. I can show a quick demo if people want.
sure. We would love to have a quick demo.
Okay. Let me pull that up. Uh, so let's say I'm doing this for, I'll actually copy paste the content so we don't spend time there. Okay. Uh, Actually might need a little bit because it needs some context, meaning it will, yeah, let me try to find, we can take
Sure,
another in the meantime while I load it up.
sure, not a problem.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we have a question from Isha. Um, how frequently do the prompt one should update? How many times do you think is the best practice to modify?
Yeah, so great question. I like to think about, there is no right or wrong answer to this, to be honest with you. There is no set cadence as how often do you update. It's more about the velocity at which you collect feedback. So think of it like a CRO test. How long would you run a CRO test? It really depends on how much traffic you have, right? So if you run the prompt enough number of times, have enough output, and have enough feedback that you think can materially change, if that feedback has been shared with the prompt, it can materially change the output. That is, to me, a trigger point to say, Krinal, we have these weekly meetings with the content team, and they'll tell me, Krinal, we've identified a pattern where this bot is missing a spot. Can we fix that? And that to me is a trigger point that I'll go and fix it, because the fix is so quick. It's literally a few minutes at most. So I wouldn't wait for a particular cadence of sorts to fix it.
Got it. Cool. So the next curious question I had is about the visual assets that you mentioned. That sounds super useful, actually. So how are you using custom GPT to create brand aligned infographics?
Yes. So the visual assets, and this is where the AI starts to struggle when it comes to visual, because it was text was the first thing it solved for, then it solved for code, and then it started solving for visuals, and now it's solving for video as well, right? And it'll keep on improving. But the idea is, first was understand guardrails, right? So we tried solving for the featured images, didn't work because the featured images output was not as great as, Bluehost as a brand we would want to put out there on our website. And so we said, okay, we'll need more, the models, give models more time to kind of improve themselves, so on and so forth. But the in-body images, so think of it like infographics, comparison tables, stuff like that. Those and I, you have to test what works, what doesn't work. And so I was testing all sorts of images, and those seem to be working well. Like the output was almost there. With a little bit of fine tuning, you can publish that. And so we went ahead and did that. And I'll actually pull up a couple of examples to show based on what's here already.
Sure. Um,
You have any questions in the meantime that we want to pick up?
yeah, I have a question from. So there's one more question from Sanjay, and his question is, have you created a custom GPT for SEO review and how it's making SEO stuff easy, like meta interlinkings?
Yeah, yeah, no, great question. So I am about to show that as well. I'm just trying to pull the right example. But here is an example of a image that was created using, the visual asset generator. So this topic is about what is VPS hosting, everything you need to know in 2025. Uh, and here is an image that was generated using the visual asset generator. Uh, So and it is literally one prompt telling this is the topic. Can you create an image with this size? And that's it. It'll spit out this as an output. I don't know if there are other images in here. Yeah, here is another image that was generated. Here is the third image that was generated. So you see how we are able to kind of accelerate the quantity without compromising on quality, because now we are able to generate multiple images where we think it makes sense, right? If this image gets picked up in a Google carousel for images or in image search or somewhere else, it could help get clicks, and it will also improve the credibility for the brand. So which is why I think this makes sense. Oh, there
This
is
is
one
super
more.
consistent, like with the Bluehost logo at the bottom,
Yeah,
the background, the
it is on
font.
brand.
Yeah, it's on brand.
It is
Fantastic.
on brand. And look, okay, I didn't know that this one has so many images. Maybe this one has more images than it should, but uh, manage BPS, unmanaged BPS, semi-managed BPS. Uh, okay, this one, I looks the writer went really creative on this. It has more images. Linux BPS was Windows BPS. There is more dedicated hosting, VPS hosting, shared hosting. Uh, there is one more. How much does VPS hosting cost? This is a popular question. So it has that as an image. I can keep going. I think this one has one more. Bluehost VPS is the number one choice for 2025. Has this as an image. Pros and cons of VPS hosting. I really like this. I think this has a high CTR attracting ability, because it reads well.
Um,
All of these were like literally not the CTS. These are from the creative team, but all of these images are created using the bot.
well, that's fantastic. I think so. Um, the visual thing is on point, and the high chances that on the image section on the Google SERP, it's going to show up for that common question, for that green and red, the versus comparison, the pros and cons, and that's fantastic. Like it's super scalable and so efficient.
Yes, it works. We've measured the results from our Google image search, and it's scaled significantly since we started using this.
Fantastic. That's incredible. We have our next question from Zafar Sheikh. Hey Zafar, thanks for joining in. Thanks for Uh, so things will pick up the previous question first. Yeah, do custom GPTs offer better scalability than human SEO writers?
Uh,
And
this is
yeah.
a Have you tried fine tuning or embedding SEO specific checklist in your GPT workflow? So great question. Zafar always comes with interesting questions. So do custom GPTs offer better scalability? The scalability, yes, it is better scalability because it can do everything you can do times 10, times 100, however much you want it to do, right? Because there is really no limit. And this custom GPT is still like we are manually doing this because we are prompting, it's giving the output and we are taking it. But you can automate this entire workflow using an automation platform like a make.com. And you can have a spreadsheet with like 10,000 topics and just run, and it'll dump 10,000 content briefs like in a few minutes, maybe an hour tops, right? Imagine doing that with humans. So scalability, 10 on 10. Compromising quality, quality is very subjective for each individual and for each brand. And so what do you think is high quality for your brand would be different than what I think is high quality for Bluehost. So depend, it's a subjective answer, but there are guardrails that you can put in place, like I shared, to make sure that it is delivering on the quality. And you can fine tune, right? The more you use, like this visual GPT is a really good example. The more the team started using it, the first 100 images we created, we learned so much of where it was falling short of. And then you use that and say, how do I fix this? Like text, you will see when you start using this, for the most part, if it has 30 or more words, characters actually, it'll start hallucinating, right? The gibberish text will start coming up. And so I said, okay, how do I solve for this? You can ask AI and it'll help you to say, okay, use
Hmm.
this as a limitation in your prompt. And that's how you will fix it, right? Because then it'll no longer be the case to say, hey, limit your output to 30 characters max when you're using text, as an example. The
Thank you.
second part of the question is, have you tried fine tuning or embedding SEO specific checklists? Yes, we have. The checklist is where we've started creating the SEO review bot and also the content brief generator bots.
Yep. And Zafar has also asked one more follow-up question. Noticed your blog content is ranking well and driving traffic. Are you using a custom GPT for briefs or for full content creation as well?
Thank you for the compliment. Yes, our traffic is up. The non-branded organic traffic is actually up from 100K in Jan to 170K in June. So while a lot of brands are struggling maintaining their traffic, we are actually scaling non-brand organic traffic. This is not just to brag, but just to show the power of AI and uh, how you can accelerate and still continue to deliver on your targets. Having said that, to answer more directly, are we using bots for full content creation? Not yet. Have we tried? Yes. We've tried different workflows. And starting August is where we'll actually start testing that on the website. So we'll start testing some of that content. There is always going to be human in the loop. But and so I think of the future of writers as becoming editors, as an example, right? Because the content, the first draft is ready for you. Now it's up to you how you want to improve on that. Again, so it just further accelerates our production while maintaining the quality, or actually even improving the quality in many ways.
Awesome. Thanks so much for answering those questions. And I think so. We don't have any more questions, and we are almost up on the hour. Last couple of
There is just
minutes.
one more thing I wanted to share, and I know I have to hop off 10:30 as well. For I want people to really take this away. So let me just share my screen and show one last thing I wanted to share. When doing custom, this is something I learned over the weekend. I took a AI mastermind workshop and use it in that, and that is why I wanted to talk about custom GPTs, because I'm about to revamp everything that you just saw, and here is why. Uh, Here is a model that I kind of learned in that workshop. Let me see if I can. So you saw the content brief generator that I shared the entire prompt. Here is me redoing the entire prompt from a different lens. So what I'm sharing on my screen is called structured markdown. The reason why we want to use structured markdown instead of the text markdown that I was showing on my screen is because you can put more guardrails for chat GPT or AIs in general, right? So you know how we use H1, H2, H3 in our SEO? That is exactly what you can use in here as well. So think of your prompt where you can, on your content, if you wanted to highlight something, some word, increase the font size, you can create bold, italics. There are ways for us to say, this is more important, I want to focus. You can do that with AI. And so the way to do that with AI is by using, these asterisk signs. And so think of two stars as H1, and three as H2, and four as H4, and so on and so forth. But the structure here, and I'll share that in the comment after, is a markdown structure. You want to define the role, you want to define the objective, you want to then give it context, and then you want to give it all the instructions, right? So these are four things, and then if there is more, you can also leave notes. But these are the four things you want to get, and you will see the output will be dramatically improved once you just change your prompt from a basic text prompt to a structured markdown format prompt. You will see that this will dramatically improve.
Lovely. That's such an incredible insight, and it's so kind of you for sharing your fresh set of learnings across with
Yes.
the SEOTalk community. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And we are up on the hour. I don't want to hold back because I know you have your next call. So thank you so much for taking our time on your Friday morning and sharing all the insights, the demo, the screen shares, and everything with the SEO community here. And we'll keep continue doing this series with new topics, and we'll continue with new learnings from your relevance engineering experiments. So we are excited and looking forward to that. But thank you so much, Krinal bhai. Have a great
Thank you for having me, and
weekend.
thank you everyone for your great questions. Those are great. I really enjoyed the conversation. Look forward to the next one.
Yeah, and a couple of last things in this episode. If it gave you learnings, ideas, hit that like button, subscribe to the SEO Rock YouTube channel, and drop a comment below. What custom GPT are you planning to build? So, and we'll pin a bunch of comments which will be helpful for you. Okay, thank you so much, and it's a wrap.
Have a good weekend.